I have had my pool for 7 years and have always maintained it myself. I have had 2 previous pools which I also maintained. About a year ago the pool ceased filtering and I decided the sand needed changing. This did not solve the problem, so I presumed there must be something wrong with the valve or the laterals, so I replaced them, but still with no change. What happens is that I get large quantities of sediment settling on the bottom of the pool. If I vacuum through the filter, the sediment can be seen coming back in through the inlets. My only choice is to vacuum to waste, which uses a lot of expensive water. I have tried all kinds of experts for advice and I am no nearer a solution. Do you have any ideas?
Hello, I'm here to help you today. After you vac to waste, does this show up again in the next day or so? And does it brush up like dust?
It shows up in different ways. Sometimes the bottom is just generally dirty, gray/green, at other times there are clumps of gray/green dirt on the bottom near the inlets. The chemical levels are all okay. Forgot to mention. Sometimes it is the next day and sometimes it's 3 or 4 days or, maybe, a week before the dirt reappears.
This is an algae that will need to be treated. There is a fine algae that will go through the filter and chemical levels will read correctly. Sometimes it takes 30 to 40 parts per million of chlorine to kill this algae. At the same time as treating for this, I will give directions. You need to look in areas of poor circulation to see if there is a biofilm. This will harbor algae and reinfect the pool if the levels get low. It is smart. Brush under ladder steps, around lights, and in the skimmer throat as well. To treat. Do you have calcium hypochlorite available in your country?
Not that I am aware of, but I can find out.
What we use is 4-XXXXX 63%, or 73%, granular cal hypo per 6,000 gallons of water to treat. Add 1/4 pound of pH- to neutralize the chlorine. Oops. Do I need to convert to metric? And you are sure this is not iguana poop? I hear they are a huge problem in the area. I'll be right back.
I am sorry, I had an international call come in whilst we were talking. We don't have iguanas on the island. I use muriatic acid to lower the pH, which I have found most effective. My pool is 13,500 imperial gallons.
9-XXXXX cal hypo. What type of shock product or chlorine do you use? I can figure up how much to use with the available type you have.
It's not a problem of shocking the water. I have tried that on numerous occasions to no effect. It is the filter which is the problem, as I said in my original question. When vacuuming through the filter, you can see dirty water entering the pool through the inlets. The filter is not cleaning the water.
We see this often, and this is why I had recommended the course of action. However, if you are sure it is just a filter problem, you can add DA to the filter to lessen the micron that can be caught. About 2 cups in a 24-inch sand filter would work. As you have replaced all the other parts, sometimes we have seen a standpipe that has a hairline crack that allows the water to return to the pool and not be filtered. If the sand was the wrong size, then the pool would be cloudy regardless of the chemical makeup. If the spoke gasket in the multi-port valve is compromised, it would allow the water to return to the pool without being filtered. Another scenario is that the pump is too large for the filter and has channeled the sand. If the debris is green in the pool, then you still need to treat for the algae. Also, what type of product are you shocking with? Dichlor products do not kill the algae, or you have to add so much that the cyanuric level gets so high the chlorine cannot work like it should. I'm located in eastern NC and many of my customers have had this problem: clear water, algae or dirt that does not go away with vac and returns after being vac to waste, and I have treated for single cell algae or mustard algae and have cleared the problem. One way to tell if it is algae problem I have described is to take a sample of water out of the pool in a clear glass. Allow it to sit overnight undisturbed. See if there is a fine coating of algae on the bottom. The next morning,
I will try the clear water test, but I don't think it's an algae problem. The greenish tint to the dirt tends to be more common after I have refilled the pool following a vacuum to waste. Otherwise, the dirt is more gray, sometimes a little brownish and, after shocking, a little whitish.
Try the test and see. If there was a major problem of not filtering the water, it would be cloudy. I can see where after adding water the sanitizer would be low, hence a green color, and after shocking algae will go white and can still pass through the filter, so that is where you would vac it to waste. While the green is in the pool, vac to waste is just a waste of water, time and labor. I have a retail store and we see this often.
What I am finding difficult is that the pool was fine for 6 years, then the problem started, and I presumed the sand needed changing. When we bought the house, it was derelict, as was the pool. We constructed a new pool with all new pipework but used the old filter and pump equipment, just replacing the sand. The life of the sand seemed to be about right, so I changed it, but it didn't solve the problem, hence me changing the laterals and the multiport. If I vac to filter when it's greenish, it just sends greenish water back into the pool.
I will send a link on biofilms. If the water was not circulated for a time, this could have occurred in the pipes and other areas. We used to call it reoccurring algae in the industry until we learned of biofilms. You can also have this in your pipes if you have a well. This is why they sometimes have to treat wells also. http://purser.blogspot.com/2012/01/biofilm-hidden-accomplice.html. However, it can deplete the residual chlorine and cause green algae to coexist as well. Well, that gives it 16 plus hours a day of non-circulation in areas, as when it comes on it has to build back up the circulation flow pattern. See if you feel any slimy areas in skimmer or under ladders, as that is a telltale sign as well. Why it has started now I do not know, sorta like getting the flu.
I had my hands in the skimmer this morning when I connected the vacuum. I would certainly have noticed slime if there was any. I don't have any ladders, only steps. I really don't think it's a chemical problem. It's a filter problem. Is it possible to get a bad batch of sand?
You could get the wrong size silica sand. It should be number 20, 45 to 55 millimeters, but then the pool should be cloudy as well. The problem we see with new sand is that it does not catch the fine particles at first, and a clarifier is normally used. Did you start the pool up in backwash position after adding the sand? You must do this to flush out the smaller dust in it. However, when this is not done, then the filter pressure is usually high and a lower flow.
That sounds right, but I no longer have the bags, so I will have to check with the supplier. I have to go to an appointment, so I will do the water test check and come back to you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Obviously, I can't rate you until I know if the problem is solved, so I am just going to exit the site.
Okay.
I put some water in a glass and left it to stand overnight. It was clear in the morning. I took apart one of the valves which is fitted to the pipe with screw fixing and checked the inside of the pipe. Clean as a whistle. I have checked everywhere for slime but can't find anywhere. Yesterday, I tried vacuuming the bottom of the pool through the filter rather than to waste and, sure enough, this morning, there were clumps of gray/green dust below the inlets. I tried sweeping those clumps into the outlet on the bottom of the pool. A bit difficult as they just turn into clouds of dust. However, I was more or less successful, but by this afternoon the gray/green clumps were back below the outlets. Again, I haven't rated you as I still have got an answer to my problem. I will tell you, you are not alone. No one has come up with an answer, actually not correct. I have had lots of answers, none has been right as the problem has persisted.
Is there a heater on the pool that can be emitting some particulate into the pool? Otherwise, and if you feel strongly it is in the filter, this is hard for me to diagnose not being able to see the debris, you need to take the filter apart again and inspect. Another clue you have given is that it is directly below the return outlet. Usually if the debris is heavy it will fall here, such as pool sand from a broken lateral. However you say it fluffs like dust. I'm assuming you are not losing water where a void in the pipe can bring in dirt to the pool. Possibly it is not in the filter but something in the lines deteriorating but not stopping flow. You could try to blow the lines out and see if anything dislodges. I'm giving many suggestions as I have often used barnstorming and have come upon answers. Let me know if you have any other details that could lead in a direction. Also, let me know if you have a gas heater not on a bypass.
I replaced the laterals and it is definitely not sand. It is far too fine. I have completely stripped the filter on several occasions and replaced the multi-valve. Since average annual temperatures are in the 80s, a heater is not necessary. There is no water loss other than evaporation. I will remove the outlet nozzles, then pump water through each outlet individually, but I doubt there is a blockage as the water flow is very good. More fluffy dust this morning. I vacuumed to waste again. One thing I forgot to mention is that it is worse when I use a flocking agent. As I understand it, a flocking agent should cause the algae to clump together and be collected more easily by the filter. The fact that it is still appearing in the pool after having been through the filter does tend to indicate a filter problem, but what?
What type of flocking agent are you using? I'm assuming since the directions say to leave the filter operational, it is a polymer type. We see this when using a flocking agent as compared to a clarifier. A clarifier does make the particles bigger, so there is more efficient filtration. However, a flocking agent will stay in the water and continue to flock particles to the bottom of the pool. If you discontinue using the flocking agent, and the dust seems to get greater in quantity instead of lessening, I have to again look at a mustard algae. Mustard algae is usually a brown/greenish/yellowish algae and is resistant to chlorine alone. However, it can deplete the residual chlorine and cause green algae to coexist as well. When using a flocking agent and letting the filter remove the flock, it is important to have a low flow rate so the sand can catch the flock instead of a high flow which can break up the gathered flock and push it through the sand. With this information, I would recommend discontinuing the flock since the water is clear. If the dust appears, do a mustard algae treatment by doing a double shock, waiting 1 hour, and adding a chelated copper algicide. It may take up to 72 hours for this to kill the algae, which will show up as a white fluff that you can vac to waste as many times the sand filter will not catch it. Also, you would put all your toys, floats, and vac equipment in the pool when being treated, as it can live outside the pool water and reinfect the pool. If it is the mustard algae and it has been present for a while, a second treatment may be needed within the week. I really don't feel it is in your filter. I know it's not in your filter. If you like, I will be glad to opt out and let another expert go over this discussion and see if they have other suggestions. Just let me know.
I am using BioGuard PowerFlock and Swimtrin algicide for both green and mustard algae. I have tried double shocking the water on more than one occasion to the extent that the water takes on a slight whitish element. I am going to town this afternoon and will buy a copper algicide specific to mustard algae. Two things which puzzle me. Firstly, why was everything okay for 6 years then suddenly go wrong, and despite trying everything, including, twice, removing 50% of the water, then, for a year, having a problem which won't go away? Secondly, whether or not I use a flocking agent, since the problem arose, there is always a thin layer of dust on the bottom of the pool when the filter has been off overnight. It appears to me that the filter is not filtering something which is then settling on the bottom overnight.
Sand filters may not catch all the debris. What you could do is use BioGuard Sparkle Up or Jack's Pure Fiber or DA and add it to your filter. This material will settle on the top of the sand layer and filter out to a finer micron. This would help to remove the debris that is forming overnight. Swimtrin is a copper algicide. Did you use this recently? Also, is there any way you can take a picture and upload it for me? Using the above mentioned in the filter would eliminate the flock in the pool and remove this from the equation of something settling. In essence, it is floxing the filter. Just for information as well, what is your cyanuric level, total alkalinity, pH and hardness reading?
I use Swimtrin about once a month. The last time was about a week ago. Unfortunately, I vacuumed the pool again this morning before reading your message, so there is nothing to photograph. I will try BioGuard Sparkle Up. I have used a water brightener fairly regularly but ran out about a week ago. I intended to stock up yesterday when in town, with shock treatment as well. I arrived at the pool store at 10 to 4 and it was shut. One of the pleasures of living in paradise is that they sometimes knock off early on a Friday. Cyanuric level, 40 parts per million total alkaline Indi, 100 parts per million pH 7.6.
Yes, try the Sparkle Up. If you can at some point get me a pic.
Full-size image.
Yes, it does look like a dirt or more specific ash to me. I have also seen a white fluffy residue when cyanuric has come out of solution and there has been a rapid change in water temperature, but this does not look like that. All the way over to the right and towards bottom of picture against the side wall looks like algae. I would also stay off the water brightener for a while. I think this is a polymer clarifier, similar to the flock you used. If you get more than you need of this type of clarifier in a pool, then you will have the opposite effect. I wouldn't, especially in this situation, as it is what I would do. Use Sparkle Up and also find if you can see clear natural clarifier. It is hands down the best clarifier I have ever used, and it is made from crab shells. You cannot overdose on it. It is from a company that does extensive research into water quality, and they are highly regarded. Get this stuff out of the pool, hopefully as above. Get off the polymers. Do not add flock. And see if this stops. Check your calcium level to be sure it is not dropping and precipitate is falling also. I would really like to follow this through to the end and know what happens.
There is no side wall to the right in the photo. There is to the left, and I presume you mean that area. There certainly isn't any algae. I think this is just more of the dust. Having vacuumed the pool to waste again yesterday, I have a clear pool today. It will now take a few days or a week to start the cycle of dust/fluff again. In the meantime, I will try to get the sea clear, but it might be a problem in Antigua. I will give the pool shop a call and see if they stock it, and, if so, I will try to go to town tomorrow to collect some BioGuard Sparkle Up. Unfortunately, Sea Clear is not available in Antigua.
The Sparkle Up should catch this dust.
It didn't take a week or even a few days for the dust to return. It is back this morning. I am going to town this afternoon and will attempt to get the Sparkle Up. Full-size image.
I can see better in this pic. The white stuff looks like flock. Have you left the pool off for 24 hours just to see how much will settle? Actually, I'm not sure if the large white area is flock-like or a shadow. The brown looks like a dirt/algae.
Someone has suggested I use a chemical cleaner in the filter, which I have done, and I am awaiting the results. So far so good. Despite saying they had BioGuard Sparkle Up, when I got there the pool company didn't have it, but I don't think a sparkle product is a cure. I have tried similar products in the past. I agree with you, it does look like flock, but why does it reappear after being vacuumed, and why does it appear through the water inlets as a dirty water when vacuumed through the filter? Surely the filter should remove the flock?
Not necessarily, as I have seen flock settle even when pool is running. The powder works the same as the Sparkle Up for what you need. You would add a couple cups into water and make a slurry and add slowly through the skimmer. The deck can collect 3x the amount of dirt on it and also down to 2 micron as compared with the 40 micron of the sand, and it will catch whatever is in the water. Cleaning the filter does not make sense to get rid of this because when the filter is dirty it collects finer material and not let larger stuff through. This is when it polishes the water, hence the name Sparkle Up. It's always a good idea to do it so no harm done.
I doubt I will be able to get the powder in Antigua. I have never heard of it being used in a pool. However, having used the chemical filter cleaner, 24 hours later, there is not a sign of dust or fluff in the pool. If it's still clear by Saturday, we may have our solution and I will be able to set your rating.
That is great news.
The pool is still clear. I appreciate that you didn't come up with the solution, but you did try and were persistent, therefore I can now rate your service. Thanks for your efforts.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert, now visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.